They say when a man begins to speak louder than the gods, the earth will open to swallow his words. This is the story of Nnadi, the Rainmaker of Odu Ife. A man born with the power to summon the clouds and cursed by the pride that followed. In the heart of what is now southwestern Nigeria, surrounded by sacred hills and ancient groves, lies the forgotten village of Odu Ife. Long before maps were drawn and borders built, the people of this land lived in rhythm with nature, praying to gods of rain, wind, river, and fire. One harmattan morning, a boy was born under a sky so clear, the sun's rays touched the earth like golden blades. The midwife gasped. The boy did not cry, but smiled. His eyes were a deep silver, and his breath came with the scent of fresh rain. They named him Nnadi, a name whispered by the oracle, meaning he who walks between the sky and the earth. From a young age, Nnadi displayed powers that alarmed even the oldest diviners. At 5, he could predict the coming of a storm before a single cloud appeared. At 7, he began humming strange tunes that brought cold wind to blistering heat. And by 12, he had stopped the rain during a funeral with nothing but a chant. Elders watched him with both awe and fear. A child who plays with thunder will one day be struck by it, they muttered. But his mother, Ijoma, always smiled. He is chosen. But chosen ones walk on blades. Archival-style illustrations of traditional ceremonies, chanting elders, the boy Nnadi. Odu Ife was not always dry. In those days, it was a land kissed by rivers and thick with yam and cassava. But every 7 years came the drought season when the gods would test the people's humility. The river Ogun would shrink. The crops would wither. The drums of hunger would beat louder each night. And during this time, the people would gather and perform the rite of waters, an ancient ceremony involving chants, blood offerings, and dance. But one year, when the river dried too early and the sky stayed silent, the priest of rain failed. Fathers dug into the dust where streams once flowed. Mothers buried their children beside empty calabashes. The land begged for mercy. And then Nnadi climbed the sacred hill of Ijeo, a place forbidden since the time of his ancestors. He climbed it barefoot, carrying nothing but a gourd of palm wine, white chalk, and the feather of a crowned eagle. There, he chanted, calling not just to the sky, but to the spirits of the land. And the sky answered. Thunder growled like a waking lion. Lightning struck the distant mountains. Rain fell. First a drizzle, then a flood. The land drank greedily. Crops revived. Babies laughed. The village rejoiced. He is the mouth of Amedioha. They cried. Nnadi is the Rainmaker. And so began the rise of the boy who bent the heavens. Nnadi became more than a man. He became a legend in his own time. Kings from neighboring kingdoms, Dahomey, Igbo, Oku, Ashanti, sent envoys with ivory, coral beads, even horses. Send us rain, they begged. He would chant by firelight, paint the earth with cowrie dust, and call the clouds. Rain came, always. He built a compound of stone and bronze, unheard of in Odu Ife. He wore leopard skin robes and brass anklets that rang when he walked. He married 7 wives, one for each day of the week. People bowed when he passed. Some claimed even the trees leaned toward him. But in his rise, something shifted. When the elders asked for the annual sacrifice to the gods of rain, Nnadi scoffed. Why must we kill goats, he said, when I can call the sky with my breath? He refused the rites, mocked the priest, rewrote the chants. He said the gods were no longer necessary. I am the sky now, he declared. The people clapped. But the earth grew quiet. Cut to ominous clouds forming. A tree cracking in the wind. The river slowing to stillness. The gods, they say, do not shout. They whisper. First came the dreams, elders waking in the night, soaked in sweat, screaming Nnadi's name. Then came the river turning cloudy, choked with dead fish and black algae. One morning, a leopard walked backwards through the village square. Birds flew in spirals, then dropped from the sky like stones. Odu Ife, the blind priest of Ife, crawled into Nnadi's courtyard. Ife in a frail voice. The gods are patient. But pride stains even rain. Return to the path, Nnadi. The sky will remember, and the earth will not forget. But Nnadi only laughed. You are a relic, old man. I am the future. That night, the oracle of Aya Grove chanted without a mouth. A tree burned from inside. Thunder rolled with no lightning. Still, Nnadi did nothing. Then came the eclipse. The sun died at noon, swallowed whole. The sky turned red. The birds were silent. Nnadi climbed Igil again. This time not to ask, but to command. He performed the ritual with arrogance in his heart. He sang the chants but left out the thanks. He offered no blood, no kola, no humility. The sky cracked open. But what fell was not rain. Ash, embers, fire. A storm of burning wind swept the land. The fields caught fire. Roofs crumbled. A child disappeared in the smoke. The people cried, "He has angered the gods." But Nnadi stood frozen, his power vanished. His mouth dry. And the wind whispered, "You were given. You took." Shamed and desperate, Nnadi fled to the forest of Ero where the spirits of the forgotten wander. He fasted for 3 days. On the third night, as moonlight licked the trees, a figure emerged. A woman tall, faceless, wrapped in feathers, her voice 1,000 winds. Spirit woman, you climbed the hill, but forgot the root. You spoke to the sky, but not to the earth. Nnadi begged, "What must I do?" She stepped forward and touched his chest. Spirit woman, give me your voice. She reached into him and took it. When he woke, his tongue was torn. He could not speak, could not chant. He returned to the village, mute. He tried to call rain. Nothing came. He wrote in sand. The wind erased it. The land cracked beneath the sun. The famine returned. The people, once worshippers, became his jailers. At the next new moon, they tied Nnadi in palm fronds, the symbol of shame, and dragged him to Igil Hill. There, he wept. But no one heard. They offered him to the gods not as priest, but as penance. His blood touched the earth. And from that very spot, a tree grew. Its bark was red. Its sap ran like tears. And when the wind blew, its leaves whispered in the tongue of the old chants. Years passed. The rains returned. The people, wiser, relearned the ways of the ancestors. They rebuilt the shrines, honored the gods, sang the songs of balance. Each year, during the festival of rain, they climb Igil Hill. They pour palm wine at the root of the red tree. And the priest recites, "Let no man rise so high he forgets the dust beneath his feet." Rain is a gift, not a trophy. Pride is the chain that binds power to downfall. Some say Nnadi's spirit still lingers there, silent, watching, waiting for forgiveness. And sometimes, when the wind is right and the earth is still, the red tree hums his chant. Historians say the tale of Nnadi is rooted in fragments of real history. There were indeed ancient Yoruba rain priest ritual specialists who combined astronomy, herbal science, and divine chants to call for rain. Some colonial officers documented miraculous rainfall following traditional rites they couldn't explain. Others believe the story is an allegory warning against the rise of ego during the fall of indigenous traditions. When missionaries and foreign beliefs arrived, many sacred practices were abandoned. The story of the Rainmaker is a reminder, never forget the source. As the proverb says, When a stream forgets its spring, it becomes a ditch. The red tree swaying in the wind. Children dancing in the rain. A distant chant rising. So the rain falls when it is time. But the gods remember. And the earth never forgets.